All right. Welcome to the 181st episode of the Drinking Partners Podcast. Yes, this is our Randy Moss episode because he was just recently. So this episode we recorded a couple weeks before it was just released.
Yeah.
And he was just recently inducted into the Hall of Fame. And shout out to Randy Moss.
Yeah.
He wore a tie with all these victims of police brutality just to show the families that they were not alone. That was huge. Like I
That
never
was fucking huge.
Like from Randy Moss, I didn't expect
I did
it.
not at all.
And it just goes to show, like, don't judge a book by its cover. Like, don't look at us and say, oh, they drinking partners.
He sat
and they
there.
just be sitting there drunk, not talking about real shit. And don't look at Randy Moss and be like, oh, he had some moments that I didn't agree with. This dude's not thoughtful. Like, that's a real motherfucker.
Man,
like, these
that
are
was a
real
real
people
motherfucker and a
doing
real
real
moment right
things
there,
just
man.
like we are. We are real people doing real things. And I'm going to tell you, as I get progressively drunk, these two of twos, these explanations,
You've been on point,
Fire.
man. I do not envy your job. I do not envy your job.
I am half of your host of Tandem, Ed Bailey. I'm joined, as always, with my co-host, Dave Bracey. Say what up to the people.
What's good with you people? We are the Drinking Partners. If you're looking for us, you can find us on epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, and Google Play.
We Googleable.
Under Drinking Partners. You can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at PartnersPod. 181 episodes.
Episode
man.
202. That first display of episode 202.
81 episodes, man. Randy Moss. Shout out to Randy Moss, man. That was some powerful shit. That was some brave shit. Yeah, I mean, sitting there on TV, like with that whole panel and whatnot.
And to take his platform, like it was his day.
Yeah.
And to be like, you know what? Nah, it's not just about
this ain't just
It's
like a
bigger than
Sunday
me.
night game. This ain't
Right.
like, this is your moment.
This is your
This
moment.
is what you worked
You got
from,
the
like
gold jacket on.
from a kid. Yeah, I mean, to work on, and you gave that to the people.
When you was that young
like,
boy in West Virginia playing basketball with white chocolate. Like you guys, like, yo, that shit's crazy. And then when he did the poop thing at the Lambeau Field, I didn't get offended by that.
Man, I have really never been offended by Randy Moss.
I mean, you fake pooped, okay? I'm shitting on y'all. I just scored a
Bruh,
touchdown.
Did you see what he was doing?
He just scored I just scored
wouldn't?
a touchdown. Y'all tackle me to stop me from doing this. Y'all legally rush me and tackle me as hard as you can, and I scored anyway. Fuck it. I'm shitting on y'all. Fuck you and Lambeau. So what? Y'all ain't going to the Super Bowl. Like, they wasn't shit that year.
Shout out Randy Moss, man. 181 episodes we've been asking y'all, and we will continue to ask you, man. Please hop on iTunes, hop on Facebook, rate and review. That's how we know we're doing well. That's how we let others know that we're doing well, and that's how we continue to do well, man. So please hop on iTunes and Facebook, rate and review.
Listen, you love us. You see us in public. You see us out in the streets, and you tell us that you love us. We see it. It happens all the time. So look, if you can't see us out in the street, at the click of a button,
Yeah.
please just tell the internet, tell the world how much you love Partners Pod, man.
It's like a click. It's another click for a star, and then it's like a click,
And
then
we
like
want
a
all 5
hey.
of them stars.
We want all right. So we got 180 hours. How many hours of episodes?
I mean, all right, it's 181 episodes. They're supposed to be an hour each, but we be getting drunk. So every second episode of the day goes at least an hour and a half. And this one will.
It was free ass. There was 100 and hundreds of hours.
me
We
tell
asked
you
you for
something.
like 13 seconds.
Y'all don't even understand. We both
4
live.
clicks.
We both live with our romantic counterparts. All right, we don't talk to them as much as we talk to each other.
That might be the realest.
That's the realest shit I've ever said on this podcast.
You've ever said on this goddamn
We don't
podcast,
talk to them.
man.
We talk a lot these Sundays, and that covers us for a couple of weeks. So look, at the click of a button, please tell the internet, and we've been saying this every episode, 181 episodes.
And
In
it's working.
lieu of rates and reviews,
We're
we
gonna
do
keep
accept
saying it.
shots of Hennessy. All right,
Yeah.
so shout out to Car Guy DJ and the Conways
Yeah.
for starting the trend and for being so supportive. Like most of our fans, man, I will say we have one of the most supportive fan bases that I've ever imagined.
Man.
Like y'all don't know me from whatever the fuck you use in that analogy. I don't know. I was going to say a grain of salt, but that didn't feel right.
A can of paint.
That's what it was. Because I was going to say a grain of salt. And I was like, that shit don't sound right. Like, who would know a grain of salt?
I mean, but that's probably more apropos. You don't know
Exactly.
me. I
You
mean,
don't know me from a grain of salt.
No, man. But we do have great ass. I mean, Fresh Fest didn't happen without the support of the community, man. Like we were just like, hey, like let's bring, the community together and try to like face some of these ills and get the people's in on that. And like out of nowhere, folks were like, I heard about it and I'm trying to be in. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
wanna be down. Yeah, it's one of them episodes. I'm gonna be
So-
singing all episodes, and we got a fucking singer on the episode, so y'all don't even understand how real it's about to get with my vocal cords over here.
So
I'm about to look. I've been priming, prepping.
you guys ready?
I'm lubricated. Pause. We are very thankful. So listen, if you can't see us out, you can't rate and review. Well, if you can't rate and review, if you don't have like some sort of mobile device or laptop, then just come to one of our live
They
shows.
listen to a podcast. You gotta have the internet to get this shit. Like,
I was trying to be smooth. I was this close to being smooth. I was trying to
pirating this shit.
We have
Is
a
somebody
fucking
downloading
format.
us? Is somebody downloading us and then burning us onto a CD and then selling them out of the trunk of their car?
I've worked in sales for a long time. What you want to do, you have to coax, or you have to ease the troubles of your target. All right. So yeah, I know they're listening to us on a mobile device, but if they mobile device is shitty as fuck,
would say that to me. Like,
and they
you know
just-
what, bruh? I ain't got access to the comments.
I can't get on the internet anywhere. There's not a place where I can access the internet. I'm totally shut off. I'm still reading Rolling Stone hard copies. That's what I do to get my news.
Yo, you know what? I can't even say that because I was going to say I miss the magazines, but I mean, that's what your smartphone is like on the toilet.
So what I was trying to say in my semi-transition was just come up to one of our shows and tell us what you really feel about us and watch the show. And we do one every third Saturday of the month at Arcade Comedy Theater and every last Saturday at Comtra Theater. They're always BYOB. We always have a craft beer sponsor.
Shout
Many
out to
times.
Mindful Brewing, man, like out here on the regular. They're going to be at all of our shows bringing like lime agave.
Lime agave. If they bring that drop beer one time, if they should do a special one show where they bring drop beer because that's just 10%. Like
You know what? That's going to be a conversation. They listening.
Shout out to Nick and Marcus.
Yeah, man. Shout out to them folks. I mean, but yeah, you're always going to get some Mindful. You're always going to get BYOB. And you're always going to get the best comedy in the city. So, I mean, it's really like
And
that.
it's BYOB and ampersand.
Listen, man, like it's
If you lime, we give you
so
grab beer.
really and I can't for legal reasons I can't say as it is, but it's and free motherfucking beer. So, shout out to
listen,
Mindful. Come through
arcadecomedytheater.com
arcadecomedytheater.com.
and go ahead. Just
Comtra Theater.
It's your shit.
Yeah.
ComtraTheater.ticketleap.com.
Two or two,
I've been
man.
on my A game. That's two
Two or
episodes
two.
in a row where I said that shit.
You've been carrying it.
Listen, man.
You've been carrying the Sunday, man.
We've been learning that we are a team, all right? And this episode is all about teamwork. And it's funny because I named it after Randy Moss, and he was never known to be a team player, but he also caught 23 touchdowns in the season.
I feel
and he
like
caught
if you're
them all.
catching the most touchdowns, you're a team player because your quarterback is on the team.
I think that's
and he's
how he
also
felt.
having a good year.
I think that's why. I think that's how he felt. That's why nobody liked
that
him.
offensive line. They're having a good year because they have as many.
That's the type of logic that people don't like to hear. Because I feel like he came to the locker room and argued with people and said that, like, no, I'm catching mad touchdowns.
Yeah, like these are points. Yeah, like, and they go on yours too. Like you defended that point.
It's in your box.
You threw that point.
You could have been on the field, off the field.
Yeah,
like, fuck what
you
you
were-
talking
yeah,
about.
we- yeah.
I'm winning. But this team that we're bringing to the episode, I don't think anybody can have an off game. I think everyone is equally important. Is that's the phrase? Equiportant? Equi-important? How do you say that?
Nice.
It's two.
Because I don't want to end aqua with an I and then that next word starts with an I. So I can say equa important. I don't know. Equiportant.
They're equiportant, all right.
They're equally as that sounds so nerdish.
Equirelevant.
They all important as fuck on what they do when they on stage. They were recommended, and Day is a huge fan. This is my first meeting, so I'm looking forward to hearing the music because I hear we're gonna get a couple little notes. We're gonna get a few notes in today. So apparently, Murr is a 10, and that's dope. We have Jay, Shuba, and Olga Watkins from the Olga Watkins Band. Say what up to the people.
Hello.
What up?
What's going on?
Ooh, they did it like they was
Nice.
Dipset.
Oh.
I love it.
They know. They see these are musicians. You know what I'm saying? These
Mm-hmm.
are professionals. They know how to use that microphone That is
Pause
dope because we can hear it in here. Y'all can't. If you want to use the headphones to even like check the sounds and all that, we've got those there.
Well, there's only one.
Yeah, there's one, but I mean they're a band.
Can you pass headphones?
You don't even have to pass
you
them.
can
One
pass
can
a
communicate.
microphone.
I feel
one
like they
knows.
just saying that
So I'm looking at Shuba. Shuba look like he lived near a beach somewhere. Like he got the deep V-neck black
riverfront
t-shirt.
property. He's definitely got riverfront property.
Like Shuba owns the nightclub that y'all started at.
I'm gonna start working out with the podcast, just listening to you guys.
All right.
That's
I like
great.
how you tried to bring it back, but I don't know, man. I'm looking like he owns the nightclub like that they started in. He was like, he saw Olga and Jay. He was like, you guys come on stage. I want to do some shit, but I need you. I'm funding
I
this.
got this room. I guess again, I'm excited. We've already
Okay, he's
talked
being a
about-
fanboy.
Yeah,
how
I'm
did you
fanboying
all?
right
How
now.
did you all come together? Like, how does a group form?
Man.
If I nailed the story, just we can redact what I said and let you tell the
He
story.
took the mic like, so really?
No, it's just it's a great question, and it's funny that you asked that because this past April we celebrated the 15th year of the band.
Oh wow!
existence. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And
horns and all that.
More or less.
I mean, I'm going to give you.
I don't think Buzzy ever puts in.
He never puts the horns in. But if we say horns, then you, as a listener,
As you
imagine
should
the
be-
horns,
Yeah, that's what.
and that's all that matters.
Basically, the band started in 2003, and I'll let Olga kind of go through the history. But Olga and I have been together for 15 years. Jay joined the band, I think, around 07, 08. The band's gone through a lot of different formations and stylistically.
what
Oh, y'all
bands
Destiny's
do.
Child it up?
We've evolved.
Yeah, Destiny Child got these two phantom girls on the first album.
But I let Olga. I mean, she can kind of tell her side and where she was in 2003 at her point in life. So why don't you tell everyone what was happening?
Well, to capsulize, I guess it is a long story, but I used to be an opera singer. I was trained to sing opera, and I did some opera singing in Chicago, which I never really wanted to do. But when I was studying music, there was really only one kind of study that you did as a vocalist, and that was classical. So I got
That's how you got them pipes.
I got kind of pushed into it, and I did well in that genre of music, but I was never really what I wanted to do, So I stopped singing for, was it like 10 years? I didn't really do any kind of performing. And when my daughter was born in 2001, I decided that I didn't want to be somebody who told my kid or anybody that I used to do something, because then I knew I was good at it,
That's heavy right there.
So I didn't want to say like, I didn't want to like, why aren't you singing anymore? I didn't want to be that person that was like, oh, I used to be a singer, because that's a bullshit answer. Like if it's something you want to do, it's up to you to make it happen. So to tell a kid like,
In the mirror, there's a hero.
you used to be something is lame,
Yeah.
So at that point, my brother, who's a jazz musician, Reggie Watkins, had all these jazz hookups here in the city. And I called some of his friends and said, I want to start singing again. Tried to find someone that would just like rehearse with me so I could start picking up some jazz gigs, get back out there. And the very first group that I was hooked up with was the Micah Burgess Trio. And Micah, who's a very talented guitarist, needed a chick singer, as they call us, to get certain gigs.
This is a whole different space and time in life.
Yeah, right,
Look,
yeah.
because
Like you can really put a wanted ad out for a chick
a lot
singer.
of
You ain't even gotta put the
you
K
can.
on it.
And we know who we are, right? So, but a lot of
The chic
especially
singer.
like jazz ensembles, little jazz, trios and whatnot. They resent having to have a singer. You know, it was like, God damn it, we need a chick singer. So here's this chick that'll, you know, sing these stupid standards to get us these specific gigs.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Shuba. He was the drummer on that trio.
So what was your title in that?
What was
You were
my-
the Express V-neck drummer.
My title, you know, to this day, I don't think I've ever been given a title. I'm just like, you know, I'm like the Indian guy that you know makes these guys look cool, you know.
The Indian guy in the band. That's how everybody knows who he is. So I hooked up with him.
You were looking for a chick singer.
Yep, chick singer. Then Micah moved out of town. It was Shuba and I and a bass player that I wasn't crazy about at the time. And
Oh, you still not crazy
had-
about this person.
correct.
Exactly.
Because that's how
Damn
you
that
started,
had
right?
time.
Like gigs.
Just say I don't fuck with this guy.
No, I was not. I was
she
just
tried
not
to
a
add
big
the
fan.
like,
Right.
We've gotten over it.
But you and I
I've
had the West
matured.
Virginia connection.
No, we had no connection. Craig Davis, the pianist, Craig, you know, keyboard
Craig David?
Craig Davis. He's
Oh,
an
I thought I was
insanely
about-
talented.
Can you feel me? Yeah. I know what you was talking about.
Like, hold up.
He introduced us because he knew I was looking. So Micah then moved, but we had these gigs booked, you know, as this trio gigs booked with a chick singer. So we followed through and accepted those gigs. But once that happened, then, you know, and we found someone that we really, you know, we found a bass player, found a keyboard player. We continued to book gigs together, but then not long after that, I mean, 2004, I think, when I started writing music again, which I hadn't done in a long time. And it just came together from there. So after all these sort of, you know, iterations of the band, you know, we had a keyboard player for a while. And when we cycled through a couple of keyboard players, I said, why don't we try like guitar we'll see if, you know, as a lead instrument, and hooked up with Jay. And then it was just a good combination of people.
Is this bass? What do you play?
Guitar.
Guitar. Oh, so you're a rock star.
Yeah.
He really is. Jay is he really is a rock star. He's amazing. He's an amazing guitarist. Yeah, right.
If you play the guitar, you're a rock star.
He is,
That's just,
period.
if you know how
And
to
he
play
really-
it doesn't fucking matter because you can
Is it-
always.
he's-
Because the best I can do is air that shit down. Like, yeah, I mean, like I'm just trying. Like I'm in the car and shit. Like, like trying to, you know, with the seatbelt. Nobody else play the seatbelt guitar. Nah, I'm a
See, but sure, everybody plays a
I play the
seatbelt guitar.
seatbelt guitar,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not as easy as it sounds, right?
But I think the band, you know, once Jay joined, I think the band started to have some more direction. So basically, we went from a jazz trio featuring Olga on vocals to becoming more of a funk, soul, R&B, blues act. And by 2009, I mean, we really had our niche and tripled and quadrupled our business because we changed formats. I
Oh,
mean,
you smiled when you said that.
I mean,
knew
yeah,
you
I
was
mean,
in
well,
that.
but
I knew it.
You know,
I knew he was into that. I knew he did the
It's,
books. I knew it.
Bro, he put an ad out for a
We're-
chick singer, switched to R&B,
fucking did the books.
and like,
we're all jazz lovers, jazz musicians at heart. But once the guitar kind of came in and we switched course, I mean, things just took off.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
We then had to the right set of circumstances for me to write more tunes that we've all collaborated on, so developed our own sound at that
so
point.
were you doing like covers in the beginning with a mix of
jazz standards? And then in 2000, I guess it was 2004, I wrote a couple tunes that were more blues tunes than anything. So then, yes, every show we'd kind of sneak in these originals. We're doing these, mostly jazz at
Hey,
that
now
point.
that you know that
Well,
we're
that's-
good at this, like,
Well, that's
then
kind
our-
of what we do as comedians.
Right.
You'll have
Yeah,
the,
exactly.
You'll have the hitters that you know will work, and then you'll slide in a new one.
Yes.
And you got to slide it in after a hitter just so you have the room. to
Right.
work
cushion
with.
in there,
Yeah,
like
so
in the
they're already
middle,
on your
like
side.
here's some like so that at the beginning and the end you're enjoying this,
Yep.
but like that
Yep.
little middle, like I got some room.
Got something new for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's happened? We like this. This city is. It's the music scene is in a. I'm not going to say a slump. There's a lot. There's so much talent out there, but the amount of venues are has really declined. It's really decreased. So we've carved out with blood, sweat, and tears, like carved out our niche as a band that does primarily original music now, and have a following for that. So now we'll sneak in a cover tune and surprise people with something that they don't expect at all, But our fan base is out, or people that like blues and soul and funk.
You stopped making calls. You started taking calls.
Well, right.
And every once in a while,
Yeah, exactly.
you make a call.
Oh, he heard this shit recently. He just heard this phrase.
This line.
180 episodes in. This is 181, and this the first time you throw that out? Who told you that? He got that Pittsburgh Current deal and was like, oh, I stopped making calls.
I'm just saying. No, but I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a real fan. Like I said, I for the listeners or whatever, I was introduced. My fiance was a fan of yours, and she was playing like your music or whatever. And then like we got to a couple of shows, and like I heard your voice or whatever, and I was just like, like your voice was the thing that like before I like got into the rest of the like the music behind
Cold
it.
word, but I don't give a fuck about what Jay and Schubert do. That ain't what that's not what I'm listening to.
It's a great sound, but it's like it reminds like with Florence and the Machines.
Yeah.
Like like her voice is like such a powerful like instrument.
Right.
That like it's great that she has such a like an accompaniment around her, and it's great music and the sound, and it's like it gets you like it's a team project or whatever. But like there's different types of music. There's like some bands that are like have a great this that the other whatever. And then you just have those voices like that like people remember type thing. Like there's a lot of bands that the lead singer nobody fucking like remembers because it doesn't like resonate with you, and they can change them out. Like like and there's the lead singer from a band like with Grateful Dead like kind of covers or whatever. Like like you can change out like the lead singers or whatever, but like there's not that one voice that kind of comes through when you turn it on and be like, oh shit. So like that's what kind of got me, and then I started like hearing like the music, and then seeing you guys live and how good you are as a band is just like you could tell there's history behind it, and like it's like flawless. Like
in my background, I've always listened to like I'm more traditional rap R&B. Growing up, so it's with R&B, it's all vocalists. How do you balance instrumentation with a vocalist? Like, do you find it difficult to have one or the other stand out?
I'm gonna say no. I don't. I really like to feature, like when we're in a live show. I want at multiple points throughout the show. Jay plays a lot of solos. Shuba plays several solos because in our group, especially, I think that's one of the things that's worked for us is that everybody is featured at some
Everyone
point
will get a solo. Everyone will get their shine.
Everybody, including our bass player who's not here with us today. The three of them are all incredibly talented of their own right.
And that's the thing that you don't get until you get to a live show. And that's what I've learned about like studio versus live is because when you get a live show, everybody gets a solo. Everybody has the and you can see like that and how that, because there's like I just learned recently that some motherfuckers got like studio drummers and shit like that it's not even the same dude doing the studio shit. That's like they bring in ringers and shit, right? So like to see a live band and then having that I love like even like cover bands and shit like that. Like cover bands, like when they throw those guitar solos in there and shit, and the drum solos, and like the way they even bring in and do those cover like shows or whatever, like the talent is there in that. You know what I mean? So like, and that's what I think that people don't fully understand with and that's what like I think R&B loses a little bit like in that side, is that because it's so like studio wise.
Well, yeah, so it's voice for it. Like you always looking at the voice. Yeah, I mean, I don't even, like I would say. So one of my favorite R&B artists would be like a Miguel, because the music, the instrumentation comes through well. And then I heard, and I haven't had to see him live, but I've heard his live show was dope because of it. So I'm looking to be at a Miguel concert soon.
Clara Kent. Yeah, I mean, she's on the fest, and she does like, I mean, like she has like a voice and like and a whole band or whatever, and it has that R&B, and like you get that, so like you get that like R&B feel with the band, so it's not like, I mean, like just a straight like track, like you're just playing like a track in the background.
We gotta get Jay on though, so she was trying to let Jay at. So Jay, you gotta speak up with your guitar.
Well, I think too along those lines too. What brings us our background to the table is, since we have such a jazz background, every show is going to be different because we're all improvising off each other like jazz musicians, as opposed to like some, artists that come out there and they play just like on the record, even though it's live, but they're not doing anything different. And there's like an interaction between us, just like, even though the tunes are the same every time, but every time we might approach it differently, and we're bringing our weekly existence to those tunes. But again, when you asked about instrumentation and her voice, the tune comes first. When we're playing the tune, and then it's like, well, what can we bring to that tune to help support her, and then help get that interaction with the audience and bring them into our musical conversation that's happening.
It's a conversation on stage that you're having.
Oh yeah. And it's musical,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You interject your notes and shit like when you feel appropriate.
But it's just like a team sport though, right? Any team sport, even with this podcast, right? Like we take cues from each other, and that's what I mean.
Oh, no,
and like,
we wouldn't make the playoffs.
When you
we don't get along. We have no synergy.
He's being humble. We've got a couple rings, but like, I mean, it's that like, and that's what I love watching in the band. As a performer, I love watching, like, now that I've like been on stage or whatever and having to like being a part of that. Like, I love watching bands and seeing how, like, you know what I mean, like the drummer knows with the singer with the how you do a whole ass solo and know when that shit is gonna drop and then go right into the next. That whole shit, like, I mean, that whole conversation. It's like a conversation that you're having on stage, like, and
I've seen other interviews where of other bands and stuff, like they won't say anything to each other before the gig at all, and then once they start playing, they have this whole conversation, but it's all musical notes.
So you give clues in like your like notes.
Yeah, it's just like riffing, like in comedy when you riff off like improv class. You just riff off each other. Shubu might play something, or I might play something rhythmic, and he'll pick up on me. Or if Olga is feeling like she's going to another level at the end of a tune, we pick up on that. And we go right with her. And it's such a
in
cool
the crowd. You're just like,
it just seems
well.
Organic.
That's the other thing, but that's the other. They're the fourth member or the fifth member. The audience is, because once they start giving that feedback,
so you're feeling what they're saying.
That's a whole. Then that takes you to another level too.
And that's one thing about having that, like, that interaction with the audience and having those. I think we do in our band tend to give the floor to each other more than average. In terms of solos, like. I think we do that more than other bands that I'm aware of. But what I see when they're doing that, when Jay takes a solo or Schuba or Kurt, and when I'm watching the audience, listening to them, there are different members of the audience that react to each of them. So there's a couple people that clearly are in love with the bass, like they're totally enamored of it, completely sucked into what he's
Yeah.
doing. And the same thing with the drums and the same thing with the guitar. And you see that movement in the audience as they're playing their solos, because you've got those people that identify with the different instruments,
Right,
you know?
right.
So they're waiting for that moment. And that really connects with them, and you can see it in their body language. You know, they sit up because the bass is playing again or the guitar is playing again, and they're waiting for that point, and then it keeps them there because they want that experience again where they can really focus in on the guitar
Everybody has
or the
their favorite
drummer or the bass.
instrument, yeah, I mean,
They
like,
really do,
yeah.
and you can see it on their face, and you can see it in their
I
body
never
language and all of that.
That is the first time I've ever experienced being on stage as a rock star, because being the lead, like seeing that or whatever,
Watching people,
and
yeah.
being that kind of and then communicating that, because you're taking that, because that's crazy.
It's really fun to watch. Yeah,
you're the point guard. Yeah,
it's for me too. I have to, because the conversation that they're having on stage does change. It keeps me on my toes too. Sometimes I'm just amazed. I just get sucked in because somebody's doing something incredible. They're really on top of shit that night, and they're doing something I haven't heard them do before. And I get sucked in too. But I watch those cues in the audience.
You're talking about enjoying it for yourself versus the audience enjoying it.
Yeah. I get yes, with each of them, they're in many shows, there will be points when, everybody has their moments when they're on fire, you know what I mean? And there will be those moments when I'm like, God damn, what? Yeah. And I'm drawn right into it too. But it's nice. It's like affirmation, watching the audience react that way to individual members of the band, because you're
in the music.
Yeah, they're sort of affirming that you're doing the right thing and giving them
that
the
energy.
opportunity to have that
energy is
exchange.
So much like making love. This is crazy. I just been sitting here wow.
It's great. It's energy is such a weird fucking concept.
Yes.
Because I feel when we're on stage, we feel that energy from that. And me as a person, I don't drink at home because I don't drink by myself.
Right.
Yeah, I need to be in a crowd. I need to have energy given, and then
share that.
I amplify it. So if you
Right.
give me energy, I'm gonna amplify that shit.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? But if there's no energy in the room, then and that's what's when I'm at home. I'm just whatever. I'm gonna just work, whatever.
Right.
So but when you're on stage, having that oh shit, that reaction or whatever, and
So how do you as an individual in the band, how do you know that you're the one that's on fire? How do we know he's on Shuba's on fire, he's got to take the shot?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a really good question, and I'm going to answer honestly. I think all of us would say, if you and Day were in the crowd and you're like, holy shit, man, Shuba's tearing it up, and then I'm thinking at the same time, or after that tune, I just took a solo, and I'm thinking, it was the worst thing I ever played. But you guys are loving it. But then I may have recorded that gig, and chances are, this always happens. When you think you sound great, you can listen to the recording, and it's not as good as you thought. When you think you're awful, it's wow, that was really good.
All right.
So to go back to your question, how do you know when you're good? It's I try not to. As I've gotten older, I've gotten better at this. I try not to analyze my own playing on the gig, because then it kind of, if I'm not feeling good, it affects the next tune and the tune after that.
Right.
So I'm feeding off of all these guys. So I'm more in tune with, I'm feeding off of Jay's solos or what Kurt's doing on the bass or Olga's vocals, and I know when these guys are on fire. And I feed off of that. I try not to think about, what I'm doing too much. If that, I don't know, does that answer the question?
That makes sense, because if you're killing it, then that energy they'll give you cues.
Yeah,
It's a conversation.
Right, exactly.
So they'll be bro, keep it. Yeah,
and if I'm really liking what they're doing, generally it has a positive impact on me,
what you're
and
doing.
I'm forced to bring my game to that level,
So are the solos planned or?
No, so
That's what I'm saying. So how do we know? It's like, you know
Well-
what? Take it away.
Well,
You know
so
what I mean? Like,
but I was gonna ask about like solos in the sense that like, because I know like even when you get a solo, do you like, are they improvised solos? Are they like kind of pre solos, or a mixture of both? Because I know like, so like with comedy we have that. Yeah, I mean we have some in the cuff, we have some like crowd work, whatever. And I know that even in the music industry, some folks just have like riffs, some like solos or whatever. Some I mean just ready to go solos. And like even if the solo comes up, like you might not plan for the solo to go here, but if it comes up, it's a solo that you already have in the cuff, right? Yeah,
Right, so with that-
as opposed to just like a freestyle,
Yeah.
like with rap. Yeah, I mean, like it's the difference between like a freestyle battle. It's a difference between like a real freestyle, where like off the cuff, like I mean, like, or just some lines that I had in the background.
No,
you
so
know?
with our original tunes, like we have solo sections. Like there would be, okay, insert guitar solo, but every time Jay plays that solo, it's going to be different. He may use certain licks. If there's a drum solo in a tune, it's going to be different every time. But again, there may be some carryover from previous solos because it's all your language that's within you.
Well,
I guess
that's the beauty of the difference, like a jam band, because you can have a tune and then you can build it. So you're getting that spontaneity in that section,
Right.
as opposed to the whole, like they being some like random like shit or whatever, and then having just kind of pre things. Like you're getting you're creating structure to allow spontaneity.
Yeah, it's just like you're setting up a sketch, for example.
Yeah.
So you use comedy as a reference point. So you're gonna here's the basic idea. You're this character, and this is where you're going with the sketch. What happens in the middle is kind of up in the air. So in a tune, it's like here's the intro, verse, chorus, solos. Now, as to like depending on the tune, as to who's going to solo first, it might be Jay, it might be Kurt, but it's whoever I point to, And I think with like the jazz background of these guys, particularly, they can tear up a solo at literally at the drop of a dime. Like, boom, hey, it's you now, and and be on it, So as you become more familiar with any one tune, as you play one tune more often, it really, I think, just opens up more possibilities in terms of what you're going to do with your moment in that tune.
so are there certain songs that, like, all right, typically if we go into a solo in this song, it'll be Jay or it'll be Sugar, and then are there certain songs where it's like, I don't know who gonna get the solo here? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, it's generally every tune has
Has
this
it
kind of
built?
set thing.
Yeah, it's built in.
It's built in.
Maybe one or two.
Yeah.
But there are a couple tunes where there's a couple tunes where
It could be anybody.
it could be anyone. She might just give it to Kurt, and then I lay out. I don't solo on that tune.
Yeah.
And there are other times too. And then the other thing too is like when you compare it to, like if you go see like AC/DC, that guitar player is probably going to play pretty close to note for note solo on all the tunes that he might vary a little bit, but that's the other side of the coin. Then you have, like you mentioned, Grateful Dead. Their shows are always different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind
like
of the jam band
shit.
thing.
Yeah.
But that comes, with respect to our jazz background, where you have a set form of the song that everyone solos over. You get your turn, you take how many times through the form, and then the bass player takes how many times through the form. But every night it's different. And and then when we're on fire, everyone else comes up to it, and then some nights we're not on fire, but Shuba might do something that sparks it again. Okay, here we go. Now we're going at it.
So, I mean, I don't know. Just because I'm on the eve, like we're on the eve of this festival or whatever. How do you like get through the bad nights, like the shitty shows, because everybody has shitty shows.
Well, that's the funny thing too. Is like
everybody has shitty show, like people don't understand, man. Like especially when you're like coming up, like, and you're, going through those growing pains or whatever, it's usually more shitty than it was good, right? Like, you had to, like, where do you find the confidence? How the fuck do you get through? How do you get on stage? Because as artists, we're our toughest critics. So I'm already beating myself up on a good set.
Right.
To me, I find the hardest gigs to do are the ones where there isn't an audience, where there's maybe a few people in the audience, and we're playing for ourselves.
Or you're like in a TV studio for a TV show, like where there's no human interaction.
Oh, like the stale environment. Like I couldn't imagine.
I've done comedy in a green room. It's weird.
Right, like if
doing a set in front of
you're promoting
nobody.
something and you got to do a set or a couple of tunes just in a TV studio, and you've got there's no human energy
feedback
there
at all.
But I know, like, when you play, like we played down at NOLA once a month, Market Square. We've been there.
Yeah, shout out to NOLA.
We did their grand opening. We did their grand reopening. We've been there once a month or more since the day they opened the door.
Yeah.
So you're going to have those nights, like 90% of the time, we have a great time down there. People are having fun. It's a festive environment. It's good for us. It's fun. Even if there are technical difficulties or you're not at your peak, we're still having a good time. And it's, you can leave with a smile on your face. Occasionally you will get a crowd that you just don't, you just can't connect with. We had one show in particular where this group of people, they seated this group, like family of like 10 people, right in front of the band in a way that they were sort of perpendicular. They sort of barred us from an energy flow with the rest of the room, right? Now these people,
you had the buffer,
and to be totally honest, I was like, so these fuckers came down from Beaver, didn't know they were gonna get some music, right? That's where he's from. Like, didn't know there was gonna be music here.
I'm from Braddock, but I currently reside in Beaver, and I know exactly what the fuck you're talking about.
They didn't know there was gonna be music. They didn't have a reservation anywhere because they're dumb shits. They're in the city. They don't know what they're doing. So they come to NOLA at 6:00 on a Saturday and get the last 10 seats, right? That happen to be right in front of the band because it's 6:00. Well, these shitheads are still here when we start playing. And they don't care but what they're doing then effectively is constipating the flow of energy from the band to the rest of the room.
You got the buffer.
That's it.
It's
So they stop.
They're beyond bottleneck.
They do.
Constipating
I call them the scrunch neck motherfuckers.
That's it. So they stop it up. They stop right there.
I don't want to laugh tonight.
Yeah, exactly. They do, and you could like looking at them. They looked at us like, oh, wow. Like they just didn't. They could not be forced to have a good time.
I can't imagine people are playing instruments.
Like, what is that? They were so
close to my food.
Oh my god!
How does that play out in music?
Well, so
because
for us,
with comedy, there's an immediate reaction. That
of course.
But for you guys, you're playing through a song, and a lot of the reaction. Are you looking more at physical? Like how they present themselves physically? Are you looking at verbal? Because for us, it's verbal reaction.
It's with us. It's more initially. It's more. You're gonna get some verbal. That's less common, I think, with music.
Really?
Yeah,
I will scream at
verbal,
a
but
show before I
in terms of people being like unhappy,
Oh,
they're not gonna. We're not gonna get.
People are gonna be like, "Boo you!"
Yeah, I think I've been heckled once. You know what I mean? But I do bite back too, so that might be part of that.
If I heard your voice, I wouldn't jump up. So I'm saying, like, I just I wouldn't nah.
But with their body language is a really big part of it. So I see this group like this night, this group of 10 people who clearly are very unhappy with the way their whole night has gone so far, and we still have to play that first set. We got to play it regardless. So we play it, I'm watching them, like they're just like annoyed that we're there, blah blah blah. But we have to play it anyway. So it takes the joy out of it for us that first set, because we can't get past these assholes to anybody else. Like they're and not just this group, but when you have a situation like that, when people are physically blocking energy from people who want to enjoy you.
Yeah.
Like I can see people behind them that want to enjoy the music, but it's really like they've really stopped up the room. So the minute they leave, though, the whole room blows up. People start dancing and everything is like. But
I can
you
feel
gotta
that.
just
I'd be
play
feeling that
over
shit.
it. Yeah.
As an audience member, I've been behind a blockade where these stuffy assholes are just sitting down and shit. And I'm like in the back dancing. And I'm like, why aren't they dancing over there? Like they got all these seats and shit just chilling there all like, man. I'm like, because I've been to NOLA. And like I've seen a few and I'm like, and that's how it kind of, I'll be in the back or whatever getting some drinks and like, whatever. Just I'd be scoping those motherfucking seats. Like as soon as you get up.
And with that group in particular, literally, they weren't even all the way out the door when like the whole room moved forward. Yeah. People took those seats, people started dancing, but it was like they had constipated the whole room.
Yeah.
So once they like acted as as a laxative to the room and moved themselves out the front door.
It's these shitty people.
These shitty
acted
people
as their own laxative.
Yeah, well,
they opened up the room.
Shitty and all,
they were
laxative,
were shitty people.
constipation.
It is. So
this
that,
is not
but it
indicative
changes
of
the
type
whole,
of music
the whole dynamic, But to answer the original question, you can't do anything about that except play your
play
show.
through it.
Yeah.
And then for you.
No, I mean,
you
but like
have
to
to
be
enjoy
honest
each
though,
other.
but honest, I'm not even talking about a bad set. I'm saying like how do you like in this art, like we all have our ways of making money, our ways of like pursuing our passion. We have disagreements, we have ups and downs or whatever. But like, especially with a band or whatever and a team and like a people or whatever, like how do you get through those, like the tougher times when like, as an as an artist, like I want to quit every other week. I'm like, man, why the fuck? Like, and maybe it's different with comedians, and I have a lot of conversations with comedians, but we always kind of feel like at some point somebody's going to find out we're not as good as we are. Like, like the bubble's going to break. Somebody's going to realize like he's not that good and we're done. And like in entertainment, like it's fickle as fuck. Like people, you could love you one day and the next they're completely gone. You have these existential moments of, who am I versus the crowd and all that shit. Like, how do you maintain through that?
Well, I think as artists, individually and collectively, we've all been where you were talking about, as far as we've wanted to quit every other week, every other day, like what the hell are we doing this for? But, at the end of the day, when we come together, if we're loving what we're doing, that's all that matters. On the shittiest night, like with lack of crowd or the wrong crowd, or we're not feeling it, the music's not happening. But at the end of the day, we're there, because we really love what we're doing. That's what gets us through it. Because we know when we get together, we believe in the product, and the product is never going to be bad. At worst, it's going to be above average. And I only say that. I only say that because we've been together. We've been together for 15 years.
Yeah,
so
you put that time in.
Listen, we don't even we don't even rehearse unless we're working on new material. Like we maybe rehearse once or twice a year.
Yeah,
that's it.
Wow.
But we can go out.
You're on stage so much that you like, and that's the thing that I like. When I first got into it, like I was on open mic all the time.
Yeah.
But now that I'm working so much, I have so much work on the stage and with the podcast or whatever, with this or whatever.
Exactly.
I'm working so much that I don't need to do the like.
Generate material while you.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Well, generate
She said
material.
you generate material. Yeah, y'all got one mic to work with. So this is not on stage. You can't just have a conversation with him and it should just be close to the crowd. Like, nah, but it's I find that. So you say you only do once or twice a year when you have new material.
Yeah, when we're working on new tunes or we want to go into the studio, like I said, we'll rehearse one to twice or more as needed.
Right. So how do you know? How do you on stage look at Jay and be like, "Oh, Jay's not having a good day. I got to pick up on that." Because we don't have that as comedians. I don't on stage if I'm because I've had a shitty weekend. So like if I'm having a shitty weekend and I got a show to do and I'm not feeling it, you know what I mean? Like it can come through when I tell the jokes. I don't have the same energy.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I've noticed that.
Right.
Yeah.
I've noticed when I work the improv, like if there's a Thursday night show, I always do poorly on that show by my standards because Thursday I'm still working. I gotta be there at 7:30. Like they're still coming straight from work. That energy isn't the same as maybe a Friday 9:30 or Saturday 9:30. The energy's always crazy. So like if you're on stage and you're playing an instrument, you got a whole group that you got to deal with, and you're like, you know what, Jay, he ain't feeling it tonight. How do you pick that up?
So if if we're playing again, the three of us have played together so much that if I'm feeling like, okay, Jay's for whatever reason he's just not on, he's blowing, the endings or whatever, it's not as tight as it could be. The minute I recognize that or feel that, and again, as I've gotten older, I've learned to do this much better. I need to put that out of my head and be like, all right, I just need to keep going and raise my energy a little bit to see if that will help, bring him to the right place.
Yeah, like you pivot. How do you pivot? Like that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, like in that, because that's the thing. Like, so if I see because I just did a set, had a shitty ass set over at Arcade, the comedy festival, hosted that or whatever, and like I've just been kind of so worn that my energy really wasn't there. I had been working these crazy hours or whatever, and like getting on stage, like trying to bring this, but but as a result, people around kind of like they can go, okay, well, I'm gonna take this out of your hands, or I'm gonna take this out of your hands, and I mean, so there's a support network around there to pivot. So how do you, as a band, pivot around each other, like in those moments, like whenever you're having, that downtime?
Well, when you're, I know from as the person who's calling the solos, if Jay's not feeling it or Shuba or Kurt, if they're not feeling it, they're gonna wrap up that solo quickly, and then for me, then it's on me to move it along to the next thing. You know what I mean? So
it's like running.
So
short
you just
on the
sort
light.
of like, it's like if you can see that somebody's having a difficult night, you know what I mean? You just alter the course of action so that the rest of you can take some of the burden away from that person. I mean, it just like you would in anything else, in any other kind of job, any other kind of team, or ensemble situation. If one team member seems to be having a hard time, and maybe it's technical difficulties, or maybe it's just energy, maybe they're having a real shitty week or whatever, and they're just not with you there, you just move the show, the focus to somebody
So
else.
how do you on stage tell somebody, get your shit together?
Yeah, like
Well,
yeah.
Shuba
I
will
feel like
just
that's gotta
say,
happen.
Yeah.
Shuba will just say, get your shit together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that comes with the V-neck.
Yeah, 'cause yeah. He called it from the beginning, and you just
Shuba will look at you and
that
say,
might be the best read
Get
you've
your
had
shit
in
together.
181 episodes, man. I am impressed. Shuba.
yeah, Shuba will just tell you to, at the end of the song, he'll say, get your shit together. Yeah. And then then you get your shit together.
comedians, like, we got to be like real, like, I mean, real comedians that are like,
Somebody has to be able to tell you that if you're in a team, somebody or everybody has to be able to look at you
Be
and
like,
say at each other, get your shit together.
Yeah, so it's different for us though, because like if I'm hosting the show and on a show, basically whoever's booked on the show, you're a team. We're all about
Right.
making the show better, play your position, do whatever. I mean, the host can't embark on certain subjects or whatever. You don't want to railroad the close or whatever. So like the way I tell somebody to get your shit together is, You got 30 seconds. I just gave you the line. I mean, I could tell you it's time for you to go.
Right.
But you can't do that. You know what I mean? When you are an ensemble or a trio, you can't be like, all right, bassist, we just gonna play non-bass material. Like we just done with anything you're featured on.
Because that's how it is. Like with you, a comic will go up, right? Like, so as a host, you're trying to feel them out. So then you get off. And you go, yo, yeah, and like that first comic that gets on is watching you and trying to gauge off of that, and then you as the host go in and you got to give the report, like, all right, so this is what, I mean, da da da, like, and then there's everybody trying to watch each other to kind of like feel out the crowd. So that's how we communicate, like in that. But it's actual communication behind like closed doors and all this back and forth, where you got to do that shit like live
on stage, and it's like, all right, listen, we not gonna cut you out, but we not gonna feature you at all.
Yo, on the second show, we gonna switch it up.
Yeah, you
quick.
all A's tonight. You just boom, 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 just play that over and over and over. We'll work around that.
So, what are some of all right, let's start with what are some of your local interests, like influences that you've had, like, I don't know, in your lifetime? Anybody from Pittsburgh musically that has come out of here and played a note?
For me, it's definitely Joe Negri. He was the
Joe Negri.
Yeah, he was. I remember I grew up in Maryland and seeing on Mr. Rogers, like, who is this motherfucker playing guitar on Mr. Rogers? He was killing me. And then when I came up here, moved to Pittsburgh, I was like, oh, that's who that is. You know, it's just Handyman Negri, you know, from Mr. Rogers. And it's just like, and I became really good friends with him. And it just, and now he was the local guy that was just always like, I never knew who he was until I moved here. And it's like, oh, now.
He's probably an influence for tons of guitars.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, he was my, Pittsburgh connection influence that I, definitely.
Yeah. Did you like learn a couple chords off him?
Oh, I learned everything from him.
Yeah.
I just, and he's, I think, 95 now, 94.
Wow.
He's still living.
And he's still killing it. He's still playing.
Wow.
He's still playing.
God bless.
He's still playing.
Oh, he plays better than
At
ever.
95?
Yeah, he's killing it. He's still killing it.
Wow.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I can't say that I mean, as of have any local vocal sort of no, not locally anybody really. I mean, I will say that when I started singing again, Etta Cox, who's a local jazz singer, she was somebody that encouraged me to start singing again. And she worked with me a little bit like behind the scenes and knew that I could sing, and was like, she did give me some encouragement,
Yeah, I mean,
she's an incredibly talented lady. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from her. I really respect her.
That's influence. I mean, when you have because you can't do I can't. Nobody gets it there by themselves unless somebody that knows more about it than you do, is especially in entertainment. I mean, when I first got into it, Aaron Clapper was one of the first dudes that we ran into. I was the first, one of the first open mics that I did, the first show that that it was given to me, the improv or whatever, and he was imparting that wisdom to kind of be like, this is what I've learned, and I'm going to share that with you. I mean, that's it.
Then in that sense, the word absolutely. I did see a lot of her shows, and I listened to her a lot, and she's a great person. She's a wonderful lady. Super, super talented. She teaches at Kappa now. She's just a wonderful person, and she's a very talented singer. But definitely she was somebody that before I started singing again 14 years ago, it was she was somebody that encouraged me to get back to it.
Performing?
Yeah, as far as I know. No, I don't see her name out that much anymore, Etta Cox. But she's still singing, but she teaches full time now at Kappa. So she she's singing probably every day.
Now I gotta Google and find when I can, because I know she's gonna be somewhere. Now that's on the list.
I would say my two local influences would be drummer Roger Humphreys, who's still out there playing. Now, how old is Roger? He's in his 80s now, probably. Roger Humphreys. He's a legendary drummer that's in all the jazz history books. played with Horace Silver. I mean, these are, he's played with Joe Negri a lot. I mean, Joe Negri, Roger Humphreys, two living Pittsburgh jazz legends.
I am completely ignorant of all of that history.
Well, Pittsburgh has a rich musical history.
Oh, yeah.
From what I understand.
Huge. And then
I can't say that I know a lot about the jazz history. I'm just sitting here nodding my head, acting like I know what's going on, like most Americans. This is how you close deals. You just nod. Yeah.
That's why that's what it is, a podcast. I could be as ignorant as I want.
Yeah.
But no, I have no that's because I want to actually get into that.
You should definitely go
and learn. And that's why I was excited about this podcast and having this conversation, because I know you have way more understanding than I do. And then I'll fake know in a couple of years after I listen to a couple of his CDs.
You should definitely check out Roger live if you get a chance. And then the other guy is a younger guy who actually was a former student of Rogers. So he lives in New York City now. Legendary jazz drummer Jeff Tain Watts, who was from Pittsburgh and became famous with Branford Marsalis and has toured the world. I mean, the guy is just amazing. So, I mean, Pittsburgh is lucky to have musicians like that. Very lucky. And we're lucky to, learn from them.
It's really something that you should look into, honestly, just because the jazz history in this city is such an integral part of the history of the whole city itself, and the history of the Hill District is all tied up in that. Some of the biggest names in the world.
George Benson
is huge. Yeah, it's a Pittsburgh guy.
George Benson.
Some of the biggest names in jazz in the history of the world would come through Pittsburgh, and stop. Maybe they played a show at Heinz Hall, whatever. Would stop in the Hill to play, because it was renowned in that jazz community, so they'd play their show for all the white-haired, rich people down in
white caps.
Yep, exactly. and then make a point of hitting the Crawford Grill before they left town on their bus or whatever, move along on their tour. And we're talking about people like Ella Fitzgerald and Duke Ellington and some of the biggest names in the history of jazz history of music, period, and that's a really huge part of the music history and the history in general of this city. And
it's American music. I mean, you got blues.
A lot of that shit happened here. It's really worth knowing.
All of the foundations of American music
absolutely
is based on that. I didn't realize Pittsburgh had such strong connection and influence, and it makes sense. Because it being a river city and the growth and all that. Pittsburgh was popping for a while. I'd be there was a fish. Was it a fish named Wanda or the? Was
that filmed here?
It was the Pittsburgh with Goldie Hawn or whatever. We had there was a little basketball. We had a basketball team
for a minute.
Yeah, we had a little basketball team. We had some it was like music wise, it was a destination city. It was for in a steel in its heyday.
It was
in the steel industry or whatever. There was a lot of money coming through.
I would say the reason you didn't know is because you went to IUP and not Pitt. Nah, but let me say, so Pitt had this class that at every freshman, sophomore would try to get in because it was quote unquote an easy A. History of jazz.
Yeah.
Nathan Davis.
Rest in peace.
Nathan Davis. And Nathan Davis made it a point to be listen, jazz, I started that. And he didn't say it like that, but when you read the textbook and all that, it was really talking about his influence on jazz, and at first you would just joke about man, he just trying to insert himself into it, but as you read through it in the depth and you start seeing the people that he was rubbing shoulders with, he was oh, okay, so he was really integral to what was going on here. So he just recently passed, so rest in peace, Nathan Davis. But you didn't get that at IUP. You don't know about that history of jazz.
Right.
You don't know nothing about that history of jazz.
I don't know nothing about that shit. I know how to flip a cake.
If you from Pitt and you listen, you thinking if you from Pitt and you listen, shit, I needed that A because I was taking chemistry and biology that semester. I needed that one class that was,
I don't remember who said it. It was someone someone along the lines of like Miles Davis, someone huge, you know, in their era, that said something like, you know, when you come to Pittsburgh, you play in Pittsburgh, like you got to be on your game basically, because somebody might hop off a garbage truck and blow your ass off the stage. Like that's just it. With music is so, you know, woven into the fabric of this city.
That's crazy, man. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense in the like, 'cause I mean, there's so much. It's rich in music. Like when it comes to like national like popularity or whatever. Like, yeah, I mean, like, you know, because the city has been depressed for so many years. Like we don't have that. But like the music has always been here. Like and like the arts or whatever. Like I just got more involved in it and like connected it as I started to get into the entertainment side myself. Like as when like in the comedy, once you connect to that artistic world, then you get connected to everything else that's going on.
Well,
yeah. I mean, but like I was surprised at how much good fucking music is here. Once I figured, like I was like, oh, like.
I think that the best representation of that, recently is the Deutschtown Festival. So the thing that I believe strongly that they've done so right in this festival, and the reason I think it's blown up so much over the last couple of years, is that they've somehow magically, because this is something nobody else has ever done, managed to include pretty much every genre of music there is in this festival. Yeah. Now, you know, we played it this year. Everybody plays for free. That's a big deal too, because you've got all these musicians from every walk of life contributing to this huge collaborative effort, and the spirit, like the energy alone that creates is it's magic.
Well,
you know?
I mean, the festival is an extension of the organizers or whatever, and like, you know,
yes.
I mean, like Cody,
those guys are cool.
Cody Walters,
sure.
like he, like, you know, he hit me up, pulled me to the side, and was like, hey, I like, you know, what I mean, like, you know, like what you guys are doing or whatever, like, you know, what I mean, we want to, you know, keep this going, like, however we can help you, that's cool. Like, gave us a table, we went down there, like, just gave us a table. It was like, hey, we're doing this festival, here's a table, and like, you know, sold a bunch of tickets and like got the word out or whatever, and like just that on that, and that's the environment, and like everybody that was there was having a great time, and like all the businesses were, you mean, like it was, and it's a thing that revitalized, I mean, the community in that, like the foot traffic.
I found, like, you know, so many festivals here too, and in many different areas in this city, in music cliques. You know, things can become very exclusive, you know, but and Cody is he's just one of those people that you want to say yes to, you know, and get involved with. You want to do a project. Yeah, I want to do a project with you know.
But you don't sit at a table with Cody and not do whatever.
Like, get excited about something.
Yeah.
But for him to get people from every kind of music,
so
you know, that's crazy. It's crazy to get all that involved, and you guys get comedians there, and you know, and to get all the businesses that participated, and have all that collaborative, creative energy in one little tiny part of the city, you know, jammed in 48 hours. That's amazing. That's an amazing accomplishment. And I felt like
the magnitude of that festival
really brings out some of the best sort of just the best parts of the city, the best attitudes, the best people, some of the best things.
Well, if you think about it, though, I mean, if I was looking for a city that could produce really good jazz or blues, I would probably blueprint a city much like Pittsburgh in its history. I mean, if you're looking at a blue-collar city, very dependent on certain industry, that
hard
industry
times.
leaves.
Talking about hard times. Who got the hard times?
You get all four
we had
seasons.
Bitches in spades.
You ain't getting no good jazz out of Cali. They don't get all 4 seasons. They don't know about that winter time. They don't know about hating your woman, but you gotta be in the house because that's where the only furnace is. Like, they don't know nothing about about that.
in Cali.
Yeah.
I mean, the sun is always out.
sun's
Like
always out.
they got a high turnover rate in Cali. Yeah, I mean, they ain't had to go through a relationship.
She used to have a floor model TV with a boombox on top, and she would put in this tape, "Down Home Blues." And for some reason, I was 4 years old. I felt that.
Yo,
shit.
you be like
Down home blues. Now she probably had some issues with marriage and money. And my issue was probably, moms won't let me watch this show when I want to. Or why sister won't be sharing that toy. But it was Down Home Blues. Like, they didn't specify my issue, but I understood it. Down home blues, down home. I don't know who it was, but I love that song. I love that song to this day. So I would say when I found out that Pittsburgh had that rich musical history, it made sense as I got older and was like, yeah, mate. You know what I mean? Like, because, shit, you would be sad here.
Yeah.
Back in the day. I'm from Cleveland, so I understand, like, sadness. And it's if you get all 4 seasons and you get all 4 polarizations, like the most polarized weather of each season, you get bad snow. And maybe the snow isn't as bad here as other cities, but you have the hills. So, like, the geography of this city, a little bit of light snow and a little bit of ice, that fucks it up. You could shut down a whole neighborhood. I lived in the hill, what was it, 10 years ago now, where they had Snowmageddon, and they didn't they didn't salt several streets in the hill. We were shut down. You know what I mean? You could get that type. No, you couldn't go anywhere, and like shit happens like that here, and people get depressed. And I've never lived here when industry was the forefront of economy, but you get some good jazz out of this joint.
Oh yeah. Even today, the depth of the musicianship in town. There's so many great musicians that are here. Mm-hmm. They're honing their craft. They're doing their thing. They're playing gigs. It's just amazing. You go out and you go anywhere in town, you're going to see a great band, whether it's a rock group or a jazz group or even country. Yep. There's a lot of great bands out here.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of support in different genres. You know what I mean? Like, some people really be super into the metal, but they have a lot of groups here locally where they're like, this group here, they could be on. You know what I mean? So what do you think, in your opinion, what do you think holds Pittsburgh back from being recognized as that hub of talent nationally? Yeah, I mean, because I see, like, for example, in hip hop, because I'm a big hip hop fan, you got Wiz and Mac, and they've been successful, but we as hip hop heads don't feel like they've affected hip hop. Like, I've loved, like, people who hated on Rolling Papers was his first album. I love that shit. Yeah. When he had Hopes and Dreams, Long Money, Hopes and Dreams, I fucks with Wiz albums. You know what I mean? But like Pittsburgh, for some reason, like, people won't nationally just give it the respect that it deserves for affecting music.
That's because it's so hard to fucking get, like, it's hard to come up in Pittsburgh because we're so slow to support locally. You know what I mean? Like, this area is very much like, fuck you until, like, you go and leave and do some shit and then come back and they're like, oh, we always been down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's, you know what I mean? And that's, and ask any, like, I mean, that's the thing in the community. It's so, like, you go to other cities, like, people fucking be repping they motherfucking people, and they look like, yo, if you did a couple open mics in Philly, motherfuckers will be like, yo, my boy is over here, he's about to be the next motherfucker popping. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you come in out of town, like, yeah, you might be good, but my boy over here, though, like, you don't get that same, like.
Sometimes I think it's like the geography. Because when you got Philly, DC, Baltimore, you got that 95 corridor, where we're kind of way out here, and so you don't have that, the ease of, getting on the road and promoting your band. You play Boston, New York, Philly, right down the line there, and so you have that. But to come all the way out here, the western part of the state, I mean, it is a gateway thing. If you're going to Indianapolis or you're going up to Cleveland, up to Detroit, there's that, but. I think that's one of the things that hold us back is because we're not on the main.
No,
drag.
I'm just saying, like, the culture of Pittsburgh, like, they don't have that same pride that, like, sometimes, like, in their people here, or whatever. It's like that hometown, like it's in the sports. Hella, Yeah, I mean, you
And
can't
none of
tell
them
a
is from
motherfucker
Pittsburgh.
anything about any motherfucking body that ever fucking threw,
And none of
held,
them is from
or
Pittsburgh.
shot a ball. Like,
Big
yeah, I
Ben
mean,
from Ohio, but y'all be
like,
trying to hold that down.
You
like it
can't
didn't
tell
happen.
anybody anything about them. But when it comes to like the artistic side of things, they don't have that same pride, and you get that same pride in say like a Tennessee or even like a Cleveland or like a
Even like a Cleveland.
or yeah, Detroit. Yeah, I mean like that. Like I
Right.
mean New York. Like if you go into another city or whatever, like they're gonna be like super pumped about like they I mean like sports whatever, and their people. And I felt like on the art side here, it hasn't been the same. Like, why do you believe? Like, I don't know.
I really don't understand why that happens, but and I do recognize it. And like, there are events and festivals and things here where they really undervalue their local musicians, their local talent. They don't want to like, oh, we're going to have this festival. We know that you can, that a couple hundred people will come to see you guys. We got a capacity for one show for 5,000. We know you guys are going to, we'll be able to fill half those seats just because of your local name recognition, let's say. But because you're local, we just want to pay you like bullshit, basically, because we're going to put all our money in this out of town band, for the, like, there is a lack of respect. It seems it feels that is demonstrated, in terms of local artists. But you're right with everybody that's grown up here, or people that live, especially in our suburbs, they know who all their high school football players are, and they're gonna be watching them. And if they go to college, and they're gonna track their whole careers, and they're from Pittsburgh, no matter where they play, and that's a big deal. But there is an undervaluing in general of local artists' contribution to the local and national, international art scene. But you do have to have, it's almost like you have to have an out of town accomplishment of some kind on
Right.
a national level or whatever, to sort of to put in front of people locally before they kind of recognize or put any value on your talent, on your art.
So, outside of Pittsburgh, growing up, who were your influences?
Oh man, where do I begin?
Who? Like, okay, so who was your favorite band in the 80s?
I mean, I've loved music from such an early age. I mean,
No, I know. That's why I didn't want to go through your whole life.
I mean, if you're talking,
that's why I picked a completely. I picked a very specific.
Oh man,
era.
You know, the 80s was like 30 years ago.
Nah, I'm sure he was there. I was
That's
there.
tough to
Like,
identify what the fuck he was into 30 years ago. But go ahead.
I know what I was into.
Skipping several decades. Be like, yo,
you know,
skip over.
I had a lot of there were a lot of bands I looked up to, but honestly, if we're kind of talking about the bands that have influenced my playing as it relates to this band, I would say artists like Michael Jackson and Prince.
But
You know?
who were you banging on a regular? Like who was your band? Everybody had their favorite, like
Kiss.
in the 80s. Kiss.
Kiss.
There it is. All right. all
Kiss.
right.
Kiss was my band.
Nice.
Kiss was my band.
Yeah.
Yes.
God, the 80s. I'm going to say, I don't even, it's so hard. The 80s were so crazy. Like, I was so
I know.
crazy.
That's why I picked it.
So,
I was there.
yeah,
But I was a kid.
I was there too. Yep. I mean, still for me, honestly, I stayed a hold of the people I like. Aretha was my girl. I mean, she was producing hits all along, but I mean, I loved her from the first time I heard her, But then at the same time, in the 80s, I grew up in Wheeling. I was dressing like Madonna.
Okay. I love the
And it-
paradigm. Like, I love it.
Yeah,
Got Aretha,
I mean,
got
and I had to
Madonna.
I had to make my own clothes because you couldn't find shit like that to buy in Wheeling. So I was making shit so I
Yeah.
looked like Madonna and acting like Madonna, but listening to Aretha, but then again too I was listening to everything that was certainly that was on the radio, but
Yeah.
in my, my own time, it was, but I was still, I saw Ella Fitzgerald in the 80s before she came through here, like 82, 83.
Okay.
And she was a big influence of mine, and I was a huge fan of hers as well. But yeah, I was listening to all the shit that
surprised
was
you were
pop
able to
then,
even
and
see
Boy
her.
George and
That's
Madonna, and Wham and all that bullshit in the 80s. But I was listening to other stuff that was far
More
outside
time.
of
Yeah,
popular
that's
music.
like-
You got the,
Yeah, I
the pop culture influence, but you got the timeless element too.
Yeah, like I grew up in there was the radio music or whatever, but I was listening to oldies like a lot. Like my mom, because this was back like still like records and shit like that. My mom had like records and like we got tape players and shit like that, and a couple fucking 8-tracks and shit. Like, so I was listening to like what she was listening to, and it was all the
You know about that down home blues?
yeah, all the Motown.
Down home blues. Yo, that shit. My grandmother still to this day will throw that on. Down home blues. Down home blues. All right, Jay. it's
So
on you.
yeah, probably my 80s would be Rush, because that was my first concert.
Rush.
Okay, Rush.
That was my first concert. I just it was just just experiencing that live music in an arena. That was the first time I ever experienced
Ooh.
that. That was just to me it's still
What arena was it?
the Capitol Center down in outside DC.
Wow.
Even this day, it always amazes me when you go see a group at an arena level. That's just
It's
insane.
Yeah.
Whether it be Katy Perry or Rush or whoever,
It doesn't.
It's a
fucking
whole
matter.
different level.
I never say no to concert tickets. I don't give a fuck what concert it is. I will go to that shit because live music, like if you get enough people into that fucking thing that like enjoy that genre of music, it's the vibes and the energy and the experience or whatever. The Pink.
Guys, either of you see Pink on this last tour?
I did not see Pink.
Man, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
First concert I've cried at. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Emotional experience, emotional
See,
roller coaster.
my
the
only-
way kind of like what Olga does with her songs. I mean, every song is about her life story.
So I would say, yeah, what I've learned about Pink is the evolution of her. Like she's connected more. Only thing I remember from Pink is "There You Go, Looking Pitiful." Just because I like that was that first song. And that's when like all the black girls was like, oh, okay, that's a little hip hop, little hip hop white John. There you go. Look, I ain't never heard her new stuff, but
Yeah, it was incredible.
But I've heard that she connects very well
Yes.
on an
So-
emotional level.
Where does your songwriting come from? Where does the content come from?
Mostly from my very sordid past.
Yeah, very sordid past. Don't we all? Oh yeah,
Political
I think you can only get to this basement with a sordid past.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Well, in that case, thank you. No, I mean, my songs come from my experiences and, what I've done most of my life has involved music, cooking, or men. So
That is, you know what I mean. Put a whoa in front of that, and,
Yeah, and
I'm
that's a
good
song
on that
right there.
Too. That's
Like,
a good
that's a
life.
song- yeah.
For me, I
I will say I have had some fun, certainly.
Those 3 words themselves sound like a song in and of itself.
Right?
music,
I mean, that is-
cooking.
I
and
can pretty much sum that
because
up.
That like if I'm fed well, because so my mom from the Southern and the
Right.
way to a man's heart is through the
Yes.
stomach. So I mean, when you talk about like music, and there is nothing I like. One of the few things I love more than fucking making a good dish with the music in the
Right.
background, getting your little kitchen dance on and shit, knowing you going like, have a great motherfucking
Mm-hmm.
meal, and then the candles.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's all the same. It all sort of serves the same centers of the brain, really, all those things, And I mean, I've cooked my whole life, and I've worked as a chef in many, many capacities, like a restaurant chef, a demo chef, a food writer, all kinds of shit like that.
It's hedonism.
But yes, I mean, what it really boils down to, we'll say like, this song we're about to release called "Burn," it's a song that was written purely out of an emotional reaction to some group of people pissing me off. And every song I've ever written has been based on like an emotional reaction to something, typically to something in a relationship, But so this latest song, which we're gonna release as a single, but then it'll be a part of this next CD that we're working on now. It came out. I mean, and it just popped out of me because I was so pissed off at the school district, like the local school, Pittsburgh Public School District. I'll say it, and how messed up they are, and how they with their 50% graduation rate, act like they know how to handle our kids, and still it's a shit show.
So you use your platform.
I mean, I was driving home from something involving like arguing with the school district, and was just like, my anger had nowhere to go. Like, I'm not gonna take it out on another human. I was probably driving like an asshole for sure, but like that anger had like it was dying to come out of me. Like it was pushing its way out of me, and it just turned into a song and popped right. And thank God it did.
So then when that pops out lyrically or whatever, then how do you guys develop that into a song?
For me,
because so you get the emotion. And then you get the writing.
It popped out lyrically and melodically. It came out melody and lyrics.
So you think of the melody as you're thinking of the song, like with the lyrics and all that.
Typically, for me, the lyrics and the melody happen at the same time.
That's crazy.
Or like
shit.
Sort of like the lyrics to some degree, and then they'll fall in place with melody. But my process usually like a line of melody with some lyrics comes into my head, and then it comes together.
Public schools.
And then I'll come to
there you go.
Then I call Jay. Right, exactly.
Because I let you.
Then I call Jay and I have a tune. I think I have a tune. And I always make sure it's not stupid. To make sure it's not real stupid. Check. I got to get that outside perspective.
Yeah.
So go to Jay and sing it for him, maybe pluck it out on keyboard. And now that we've worked together so long, he usually immediately knows where I'm going. With this song in particular, he really immediately knew where it was coming from. Just it just came together immediately.
Yeah.
So there have been other tunes that it's taken a little bit longer for us to put together, but with this song in particular, it just was, he knew, it was you develop that connection with the people that you work with.
Yeah.
So you don't have to really, you don't have to beat the idea to death. It just comes together, or it doesn't, So this one just really came together, and several songs have that way. At that point, then it becomes a group effort. And everybody really does their own arrangement, arranges their own part. And then as we work it together, it evolves into whatever it is ultimately going to become,
So you guys are working on an album right now?
Yes.
So, what's that process like? Because it's not just one song. You've got an album, from my understanding, has multiple songs.
Well, this next CD, there are several tunes that we've released as singles over the years. It's been several years since our last CD, but we have regularly released singles. So what this next CD is going to be is those singles with newly recorded with the band with its current bass player, as well as some live recordings that we have a lot of live recording material that we've done here and there over the years. And in the course of the next 6-8 months, anything new that pops out during this process, anything that evolves during the process. But we're sort of we have half of that CD is written, it's recorded, it's ready to go. We have to re-record some things and pick some of the live tracks that we want to include on it, But in this case, for this specific CD, it has written itself over the years, just in terms of the way these singles have come out, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you a lot, like, instead of going in with we gotta go in and get, like, churn this out right now. You've grown to a point where you can kind of just organically, I mean, like, growing up, and that's the thing that happens with the industry is like when you hear like a band, drop a CD or whatever, or artists or whatever have like some work, people expect you to duplicate that within a short period of time.
Yeah.
And that's a lifetime. I mean, that's the thing is that, like you say, you're writing your life. Your life doesn't happen every 6 months, every 3 months. Yeah, I mean, on schedule. You see what I'm saying? So if you're gonna get the good shit, it's got to be organic. You can get the good shit, or you can get the package shit. You see what I'm saying?
And plus, the way the industry is now, so many people release singles.
Yeah,
just the way that the whole album format has really gone away. And
yeah.
So we're able to just put out these singles here and there, and then down the road we'll package it into one big, thing, so you can buy it all together at as one package.
Wow, I didn't even think about the industry like that. I mean,
it's all single based.
My bro Ray Don he's kind of hit me because he's like, he studies, and he was like episode number 4, and Ray Don's been my homeboy for a minute, but like he's a rapper, but he studied the industry, and he's kind of mastered the algorithms of social media and stuff like that, and he was like, look, why put a whole project together? People have a short attention span.
Yeah.
You can throw these singles out, and these singles will hit more. You know what I mean? And then once you captivate somebody or an audience with that single, then you can put a body of work together. But that body of work needs to be abbreviated as well. Like, you can't like the
EP
days
or
of that 21 track album with
gone.
4 interludes.
Yeah,
like, people don't really.
I did not
like,
listen to that Drake. He had dropped
man.
25.
I got Scorpion is downloaded.
I'm
just
good. Like Nas dropped 7 tracks, and I was 9.
Pusha dropped like 7.
Yeah, like 7 tracks. That's fine.
And I just said to these guys when we were out here earlier, I'm like, well, seriously, how much do we need for another CD? Because
7.
we have continuously over like the last 10 years dropped these singles.
Yeah.
And partly because it is a digital world now.
Yeah.
And we can sell CDs when we're doing live shows, but most people, most people want to just they hear a song, they like it, they want to download that song.
Yeah.
It
was digital like a motherfucker, and streaming. And that's because I get most of my music through Spotify.
Right.
I mean, so if I hear a band or whatever, then I'll just hop on there and then just listen to all of their albums shit continuously.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
That's what most people
streaming
do now.
or it's the live shows. So from my understanding, the artists get the most money doing the live shows, and that seems to be your kind of business model, was to really focus on the live shows. And then now you can get that thing out to your dedicated fans. Like, yo, you can take something home. Right. But for the most part, it's like, yo, you gotta come see us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
we dictate where that money goes.
That's how I support most bands. The music that I go to the concerts. I pay the ticket. You know what I mean? Maybe get some merchandise. While I'm there or whatever. That's how I give, because I know the streaming is bullshit. It's so.
Nobody's making money from it.
Yeah, it's such bullshit or whatever. But
that's the
I
thing.
will pay whatever the fuck that ticket is, and get a T-shirt or some shit like that, and all the pictures, and then shout it out all over the place, and be like, yo, you ain't gonna be in your city next week. You know what I mean? That's that type of thing, because I feel like that is where the industry is.
Yeah,
going
it's almost
more
that your music is your business card to get people to your shows, to buy your ticket and your merchandise.
Yeah,
so that's where you're gonna make.
I'm still trying to get to the merchandise part. Don't. Somebody actually wear the merchandise, more just tickets at this point.
All right, so we've been here. First of all, we want to thank you all for your conversation, for taking your time and coming here with us. We've been here over an hour and a half, and so I think it's important, or it's of particular import, that you do let the fans know where they can find you, where they can know where you're going to be next, because that's such a large portion of what you do, the live show.
We can always be found at olgawatkinsband.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and Spotify. And you can download our music at iTunes and Google Music and Amazon Music, as well as on our website. But if you just Google Olga Watkins or Olga Music Pittsburgh, you will find us.
Ooh, Olga Music Pittsburgh. And I don't know if he just Googled it, but his mouth opened again. So I'm going to ask him to let the people know where they can find us.
We are the Drinking Partners. If you're looking for us, you can find us on epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, and Google Play under Drinking Partners. And you can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at PartnersPod.
Hey, listen, we want to thank our guest, the Olga Watkins Band, for coming through, sitting on the couch.
Thanks, guys.
Chilling with us. I think we about to get a little private little session going.
Oh, we
super
about to get
excited
the,
about that. I want to thank.
Keep it.
Oh, pause. So I think Shuba just paused me.
Yeah,
In his own way, he just paused me. Like, okay, I'm gonna let that slide. We want to thank Shuba for wearing that deep V. That's what's up. That executive V-neck.
Yeah. Keep it too, man. They're about to play, and we're gonna try to get some of that for the cast. So
Nice.
yeah, I mean, y'all know what we've been talking. So y'all know why I'm so starstruck out here. Yeah, I mean, I've been fanboying this whole time. That's why the shit was so long. My bad. Like I just have been enamored by you guys. So like, yeah, you're gonna get a little snippet of what they doing, and check out their new CD coming out.
Check out the new CD and check out Drinking Partners, because Drinking Partners is the crew. Epicast is the family, and we out of here. And Olga Watkins Band is gonna take over.
Talk and you talk, you don't ever want to stop. So you didn't hear me say you'd cross the line. And now here we are once again, you've gone too far. You've been begging me to school you, now it's time. You think that it's true, anything you say or do won't catch up to you anytime at all. But I'm here to say things won't always go your way, and the whole world's gonna love watching you fall. I'm coming for you, you know that it's true. I warned you once, but you are slow to learn. And now, as they say, it's on, and when I'm there, your wish has gone. Gonna light you up and laugh while I watch you burn. You're so tough that just being you's enough. But how tough you're gonna be when we're all there. That kick through the door, just a taste of so much more. And like you this time, we won't be fighting fair. I'm coming for you, you know that it's true. I warned you once, but you are slow to learn. And now, as they say, it's on, and when I'm there, your wish has gone.